This week, Tesla unveiled two new trim levels, not exactly models, but trims, a more affordable version of the Model Y and the Model 3, and Wall Street wasn't super impressed. Some investors themselves expressed frustration. Many buyers expressed frustration that they wanted it to be more features and less money, but they forget sometimes how inflation works, how marketing works, how autos are sold overall. We're going to look at this from an investor perspective. Was this a good move? Was it the right move? Or are they going to have to make an additional move or two? I got Larry with me this week. How exciting is that? Love to have you on. Everybody, I'm Brian. Welcome to Future Ozza.
Great to be here, Brian. Really enjoying it.
Yeah, we have fun. So we had the first thing I want to address is people said, oh, Tesla hyped this so much. No, people like me did. I was the one saying this is exciting, and I stand by it. I still am excited by it. I think this is a good product at a reasonable price. Of course, we'd love to see it lower, but as investors, we don't want them to give it away. There is a plan. So my question to you, and this goes, I guess, for both the YS and the 3S, is this priced right for today? And, should the market be excited about this?
I think the answer is a qualified yes in each case. And the qualifications are, just the realities of the world we live in right now. So there's a supply chain, very significant supply chain impact. There's a very significant, situation where the costs of, Tesla's got the highest US-based content, local content of any car on the road. Their top four models are the top four highest content of US content of any car on the road. That's only 65% content.
Mm-hmm.
The other's 35%, and most of that is now subject to tariff, very significant tariffs. That's the first thing. The second thing is costs have risen dramatically. We've had consistently high inflation ever since the massive spend post-COVID, government spend post-COVID. So you've had this gigantic inflation, and $40,000 is now the $35,000 car. The $40,000 car, $45,000 car is now a $40,000 car, and so we go. So you have this immense inflation impact. And so when we were talking about $35,000 cars 2 or 3 years ago, it is now really a $40,000. So if you compare the Tesla S branded car now, I think it compares extremely well in price with all EVs, and certainly beginning to compete very well with the gas guzzlers, I think, in terms of cost of operation. And so pricing, is a function not just of the initial purchase price, but also cost of operation. So if you think about the cost of gas and the cost of servicing the vehicle, the cost of maintaining the vehicle, I think, the standard model is very well priced. As far as features are concerned, I mean, if you buy a basic, Honda or Toyota, if you can get a basic trim vehicle, because you can't always get, in fact, you can never really get a basic trim vehicle. I've very seldom been able to see that happen. But, as soon as you add just the smallest bit of trim, the smallest bit of luxury, the price just jumps geometric. It doesn't happen with Tesla. There are just like 4 or 5 simple options, very clearly expressed. So the basic Tesla vehicle out of the box, the box standard Tesla out of the box is probably better equipped than a fairly well-equipped CRV.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line is, I think that it's well priced, and I think that the feature set is the right feature set. My view.
On the matter of price, we talked about this before, but $40,000 in 2025 dollars is $31,000 in 2018 dollars when the car was announced. And the Model Y S has more range than that original Tesla did, that original Model Y. It has more features. It has better hardware. It has more cameras. It's a lot more car.
Yeah.
The only thing that you would notice that's missing is the glass overhead. And as the driver of the
Yes.
vehicle, I don't see the glass overhead. I don't see it. It's not for me. It's for the passengers. So I don't necessarily notice that. And a lot of the things that have been trimmed, I would argue most people don't care about. Ambient lighting, I enjoy it. It is not going to make me buy or not buy a car. Ventilated seats, more important when they're not cloth. Heated seats, again, these are cloth. I don't think you need that. A smaller frunk, that's a weird choice, but okay, whatever, it's fine. I think when this came out, I said, this is exactly what I wanted. This is exactly what I expected. Not me as a buyer, but as an analyst, this is what I was looking for. And I thought it delivered. And then I see the reaction from Wall Street. I see the reaction on social media, and people are beside themselves with disappointment. Should investors be disappointed?
I don't think so. I think that investors are going to be pretty happy. Look, this is going to be a tough quarter. Let's not beat around the bush. It's going to be a very tough quarter. And it's got nothing to do with the affordable vehicle and not the affordable vehicle. I mean, the fact is the credit, the $7,500 credit went away. I mean, that's a huge impact. And it's going to have impact on US sales. It's not going to have an impact on European sales, not going to affect on China sales. So it's going to have an impact. And remember, marginal sales have a direct impact on profit. Direct impact on profit. So even though it's only, I don't know, about a third of the market, I'm guessing, I haven't done the math, but even though it's a third of the market, it's it's a very significant portion of the market. And when you have volumes restrict, then you really have an oversized impact on margins. So it's going to impact us. But on the other hand, I mean, it's a whole new range of cars. I think it expands the TAM quite significantly if it rolls out worldwide, which it looks like it's going to do. Over time, it's going to have a very, very solid impact on Tesla in the auto business. So if you're looking at Tesla as an auto company, then this is the way that they have to go. And they've made a good move in this direction.
Now, we know that the Cybertruck rear-wheel drive wasn't very popular, but
Right.
it's, in my opinion, because the discount that they provided was not very big and the features they removed were too valuable to too many people. A lot of work contractors didn't want it because they got rid of the power share and the vault. Those are two big features for contractors. Consumer side, people wanted the air suspension so they could actually climb in and out of the darn thing.
Yeah.
But when, and a side note on that, on Wednesday, Joe Tegmeyer went out and flew early, and he saw hundreds of Cybertrucks on the outbound lot in the rear wheel drive configuration.
Mm.
So it's possible that these have just been taken off menu and are available only to fleet buyers. That's something that could be happening. But here's the reality on that $7,500 credit. If something came along on September 30th and the administration said, actually, we're going to delay it for one more quarter, 7,500 still counts, one more quarter only, I think Q4 would still be tough because a lot of the people who were going to buy in Q4 bought in Q3. Price aside, they've got the car.
Yeah, there's no question about it. There's no question about it. At the end of the day, FSD is going to be the product of the next decade. Whether it's in the robotaxi world or it's in the direct sales world, that's where it's all at. So I think that Tesla could make some moves in terms of pricing of FSD for the low price car. Let's see how it plays out. I think it's going to play out favorably, but I think either way, whichever way you cut it, quarter four is going to be a tough quarter for Tesla, and the Wall Street Journal and all the other haters out there are going to have a field day, an absolute field day.
Well, what I'm looking at is there's a possibility that this could be the Model 3 and Y, both in the standard configuration. These could have a whole new, we could have unlocked a new demand layer with fleet buyers. Is that possible?
Yeah, I think so, particularly in Europe. A very high proportion of cars in Europe are fleet purchases. In fact, I think it's like 60%.
In Germany,
Um,
it's very high. It's over
y-
half.
yeah, yeah. I think it's Germany is 60%, but in Europe in general, it's very high. And a huge proportion of the cars are leased. This car fits that bill very, very well. I mean, these two vehicles fit that bill very, very well. So I think it's going to have a huge impact on fleets in Europe. And it could have a big impact. Well, it could have a very large impact in the robotaxi world because, the cybercab is going to fulfill the one or two person ride. But there's going to be a significant market, whether it's 20% of the market or 25% or 15%, very significant portion of the market is going to be, three people or more.
Hmm.
And so for that, you're going to need the you know the four seater or the six seater. So there's going to be a market for the three and the Y in the robotaxi fleet, and that's a huge number of cars.
Well, let's talk about that real quick. Optimistically, if you look at the production plans of Waymo, optimistically, they might be able to get their finished product for 100 grand because they're starting with a car that costs more than a Model 3 or YS. And then they have to take both time and money to upfit it into something else. The car they're starting with can't be had for 37,000. And Tesla's going to roll out a robotaxi that's already ready to go at 37,000. Uh, and to the skeptics who say, but it doesn't have a rear screen, I need that for my robotaxi. My question is, do you? I mean, you still have the phone in your pocket that you use to summon it, which has all the controls and commands.
But
You
both
still have voice
all
integration with Grok,
passengers can see
right?
the main screen very, very well.
Yes, but you can't touch it necessarily unless you're
That's
also
true.
in the front seat.
That's
Uh,
true.
but I imagine by that time, you will have voice integration.
But why wouldn't you have somebody in the front seat? Maybe they'll not have,
Mm,
maybe they'll not allow people in the front driver's seat, but
mm.
certainly there's no reason not to have somebody in the front seat.
Convenience, maybe just don't want to, maybe want to feel like you got an invisible chauffeur, any number of
But
reasons.
remember that it's for the three-person ride,
Yes,
three
that's
and up
true.
person ride. So you've always got somebody in the front seat. So I mean,
I
you
agree. But more importantly, you don't need the front screen unless something goes wrong.
right.
And again, I'm just confident it'll have voice integration. And really, what happens is we've seen riders who fell asleep in the robotaxi, and they reached the destination. The safety hitchhiker didn't say a word. 30 seconds, 60 seconds later, the support calls and says, everything okay there? Oh, sorry, I fell asleep. Okay, well, get out. So that I'm not worried about those things. Those are all very easy problems to solve compared to my robo taxi costs 100,000. That's a harder one for the competition to solve.
I think
Uh,
that the Waymo taxi is going to come down below the $100,000 mark, but it's going to be very hard for them to get much below 80,000.
I
But
agree.
I look, there is a very large market, a significantly larger TAM for the both the 3S and the YS. The TAM it has to be very significantly larger than the TAM for the standard. What is the now? It's the S and the what's the standard Model Y now?
X. Just the Model Y.
Just the
Well, the
Model Y.
Y long range
Yeah. So
and
the
rear
long
wheel
range
drive.
is the L. The standard.
No, the L is the larger one in China that's
I mean
exclusive
the
to China
larger
right
one.
now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then you've got the cut. Then I thought there was S, C, and L. What? I, you know what? I'm not up with it, but yeah, they're going to have to clarify that and get it, very clear.
Yeah. I did, by the way, accurately guess the name of the vehicle, YS, but I got it right for the wrong reason. I showed my
Yeah.
math and my math was wrong. I did my best. But Yeah, I thought it was going to be small as opposed to large, and I was joking, but I'll still take the win. In terms of investment, Q4 may be rough. How much of that do you think could be offset by still improving megapack numbers?
I'm not sure by a great deal. Um, we could get to 14 or 15 at a stretch.
Why so low? Shanghai has got
Because
to be close to fully ramped. Lathrop's definitely ramped. That would put us at 15 to 17 going out the door, whether or not they
I've
count
been
as
watching
deployed.
the 10Q. I'll tell you when I get this 10Q, which is still a few weeks away. But when I looked at the last 10Q, the backlog hadn't grown as dramatically as I supposed it would grow. And the backlog is the precursor of actual revenue. So
Hmm.
I'm not sure we're going to see the expansion in this coming quarter. That's my view. I could be
Mm-hmm.
wrong. I was very close this last quarter. I said close to 13 um, gigawatt hours. I think we'll see. I don't think we'll get to 15 in this coming quarter.
Okay.
And that's not going to do an offset. That's not going to offset the
No,
numbers.
it'll help a little bit. Every bit
Yeah.
does, of course. I think what we may see for Q3 is that we had good margins because there wasn't as much need to drive
Yes.
big incentives.
Yes.
That could help. But it's getting tricky because everything is still getting more expensive. I know Tesla does a very good job with their cost controls. When do you expect to see sales return to highs? Q2, Q3? Because Q1 is always historically very weak seasonally for the entire industry. And Q4 is going to be rough. So, how soon could we hope to see a new quarterly all time high?
Look, Tesla are pivoting from an auto company to an embodied AI company. Consequently, I think sales are going to be driven by the success of robotaxi. So I think we're going to be in this hiatus of sales
Sure.
while we are awaiting success in the robotaxi world. And the robotaxi success means, the driver is out of the passenger seat or the supervisor, whatever it's called these days, and we have a true autonomous cab. And once we get to that point, I think the sales of vehicles are going to explode because people are going to want those cars for themselves. So I think, Tesla's never gone out and marketed FSD. They've never gone out and marketed EVs very well or very efficiently. Very efficiently they've done it, but not very impactfully. Their sales and their advertising marketing has always been understated. The biggest the biggest impact initially of robotaxis becoming completely autonomous is going to be the sale of FSD and the sale of cars with FSD in the fleet. So I think it's going to be late second quarter, early third quarter that we're going to see the impact, because my reading is that it'll be end of first quarter into second quarter before we see truly autonomous vehicles on the road. That's my
Mm-hmm.
guess.
I love it. And what a great opportunity to say that tomorrow we're going to be having another discussion. It is going to be all about FSD and autonomy with the same focus. What does it mean to investors and when should we look for it? Guys, in the comments, what did we miss? What do we misunderstand? Give Larry a shout out, would you? Tell him thanks for being on. We're having some fun here. Everybody else, like, subscribe, smack thumbs as you must, and stay tuned, stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from you. Clever Robots tomorrow for the thrilling conclusion.